Hello and welcome to another video about Europa Universalis 5. Today we have an update for the beta that we've all been playing since it released, I'm sure. Or rather, it's not today, but it came out last night, but I didn't have time to make a video last night. So we're making it now in the morning. So, what have we got in the new update? For starters, we had a lot of issues with pops being, or these minor rebellions being really quite obnoxiously powerful. Losing, I believe it was half a prosperity per month for 10 years was kind of insane. So among other things, that has been, I think, quartered, which is very nice. Also, pops that rise up get a decaying plus 50 to their satisfaction, so you're not just going to get a chain rising upness, which is quite nice. Estates will build profitable buildings in low control locations if they have low income versus expense balance. That's a nice little change. They corrected the game concept for Doom. This seems like something that is just a rotating wheel of fix and it's still fucked and fix and still fucked, right? Hopefully it's fixed. Who knows? Economy. Harbor suitability and other naval impacts now reduce the port cost instead of being a speed benefit. So there was an issue where they were saying that the harbor suitability would be something that would increase the speed by an amount, and they'd actually only done about half of that amount, which made land connections way, way better than naval connections, especially once you had roads, to the point where like the best level of port you could build wasn't as good as a simple gravel road. They'd said that they were just going to double it, and Count Christo made a mod that would basically do exactly that. The actual fix they've gone with, reducing the port cost instead, so a flat modifier, instead of being a speed benefit, is kind of nice. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. That seems like an even better fix to me. Local and naval governors no longer require copper and tin to be built, so I guess they're a bit more viable in the Americas. I know tin was a real big obstacle over there, but I'm not sure if it is anymore. I don't play over there. Reduce the transport costs for some important raw materials, including, I think, gold, which was, again, one of those big, horrible points where you just couldn't import or export gold for any amount of profit because the transport costs were just too high. So if that's been reduced, then that is much, much better. Diplo, they'll now consider their wish for policy to get and keep in their IO parliament. Imperial ban, liberation, and follow through on threat CBs are now marked for the AI as non-personal conquest CBs and should motivate the AI to release countries through wars. Quite interesting. Fair enough. Following through on threat, I thought this was like your vassal has gotten a claim, then I get to use the following through on threat CB because of that. I mean, this is the only time I generally see this CB, so I don't know. Maybe there's some other way that this one is given that I'm unaware of. AI will no longer suggest any policy changes to law that have been rejected over the last 20 years. It applies to all IOs, should prevent the AI from feeling so stubborn and arbitrary. This is awesome. This is fantastic. If you have a defensive league and you have set a law, and then the AI says, oh, actually, we want this to be like a mutual offense treaty. And you're like, no, I'm good with what I've got it at. And then they immediately like asked for that again, like next year. That was really annoying. This is fantastic change. Adjusted the proposal and voting logic of the HRE policies for the AI, so the Emperor will always try to centralize. That's amazing, actually amazing. Affects an issue where the HRE members vote along with the Emperor instead of their own preferences. It affects all policies. Huge change. Makes the HRE behave somewhat realistically, I hope. Whereas seeing the Emperor vote for I can't remember what the name of it is, but the decentralized option, the figurehead Emperor, that was always irritating to see. Especially when you wanted to become Emperor after them, and then you had to repeal this horrificness. It was quite difficult. Replace the trust in the AI's willingness to join the HRE with how much the potential joiner feels threatened by countries outside of the HRE, subtracted from the countries inside the HRE which are a threat to them. This should make inviting countries to the HRE a little bit more difficult. I really like this. This is essentially the same as countries asking to join NATO, essentially. They feel threatened by their neighbor, so they ask to join. this seems pretty similar to me. The AI wants to join the HRE to protect themselves from countries outside of the HRE. I'd say any countries that are like bordering France, for example, or maybe it'll even impact like the Teutons if Poland is getting quite big and powerful. Wanting to join the HRE seems really, really good to me. I like that change a lot. Emperor gains more diplomats, makes sense. 0.5 is actually quite a heavy amount as well. That's really nice as a buff. The electors will have -2 times antagonism bias against the candidate for the emperor election. In other words, countries which have been notoriously aggressive within the HRE are less likely to be elected. That's a really cool change as well. I quite like that. AI will now consider its own state before it accepts a request for bolster Imperial Army Diplo action. It will no longer require a diplomat and be done instantly in the same fashion to normal call of arms, and it'll be used by the Emperor even if they're not the war leader. That's really cool. Adjusted the grant rescind free city status Diplo actions, so they will make this request every 5 years instead of spamming you with it. Good. I like not being spammed with requests I'm going to deny for sure. Demand on lawful territory now causes a -100 opinion penalty for the target country against the Emperor. The penalty is weighted double for considering the acceptance of the next instance of this diplomatic action. In other words, they'll have -100 reasons to accept your second demand for unlawful territory. I just want to talk about this one for a second. As you can see in the background at the start of the video, I'm playing as Milan. I always play as Milan. Milan is my favorite country in this game. And during my play as Milan, I have been asked by Bohemia, by Bavaria, before it became France, and by, I don't think Luxembourg has anything, for return territory, to demand unlawful territory, because obviously I've been expanding. My opinion of Bohemia is probably pretty terrible, but every time I've said no, nothing has happened with their opinion of me. Nothing at all. Their antagonism hasn't changed. Excuse me. Their antagonism hasn't changed. Their opinion hasn't changed. So I can say no with quite literally 0 consequences. The land I'm saying no for gets this penalty. But, I mean, I don't care. I'm sure that as soon as this runs out, he's going to ask again. Sure, I'm going to have low control until it's cored. And then what? I don't... There should be some kind of opinion penalty, in my opinion, for the Emperor when he demands it and I say no. There should be an opinion penalty. That is my suggestion. Let me know if you agree. Do you think this penalty is enough, or do you want more? I don't think many people want more penalties, but you know what I mean. The Emperor should be significantly more aggressive, but not too aggressive to become spammy with demanding unlawful territory. Not necessary. They will even make this demand knowing that they will be rejected for the sake of getting casus belli against that aggressor. I didn't notice that they got a CP against me, but they've never used it. Actually, maybe that is enough. I don't know. It no longer has any cost or penalty for the Emperor. That tracks, actually. Marriage unions will no longer randomly disband because a single member is leaving it. Good. Forced divert trade. Diplo action can now be cancelled. Very nice. So discontent and corrupt officials now have an affordable monthly cost. This has been the problem since the start of the game. It was really bad. Can I see how much it's going to be now? No, it's a covert action. So discontent. Oh wow, only 0.91 ducats. Before this was like 50 or 100 ducats or something crazy. That has been an issue forever, so finally, very happy to see that finally fixed. Coalitions use superiority and fix incoming peace actions from another human not working properly. Also, they fixed the river direction when going alongside several locations that should fix issues with river adjacency. Essentially what this was is, if we were looking at the, where is my map mode for it? I don't remember, but it's in here, this one. When looking downstream, there were issues showing the that rivers were making an effect here, and there. It was very awkward, and if there were like 2 locations that were similarly, like if you were going from here to here, for example, then you were having issues showing the right numbers. I don't know exactly how it affected things, but now it's, I guess, showing both, and that is better and fixed, and yay. But there was some issue with river proximity of being affected, so that's good that that is fixed. Situations. The Colonial Revolution seek support action of Overlord's rival now requires the Overlord to have 10% manpower pool to send manpower support. Betrayal agents during the 100 Years' War can no longer be used by a country whose lands are the war goal. I mean, that makes sense. Disasters. Turmoil in Brandenburg. Events related to the investment of the Wittelsbacher will no longer occur after the investment has been resolved. That is an interesting bug to have happen. Heretic princes now give imperial authority of 0. Numbers, whatever, depending on the religious view of the emperor's religion towards the heretic prince. This penalty is further slashed in half when the Peace of Westphalia is enacted. Okay, nice. Treat dynamic localization of different options of the event the brightest of a generation, so the potential characters to hire can be hovered over in each option, allowing the player to check their stats. Nice. Several events for characters works out and similar from Mycen are able to trigger for Saxony. I feel like we had this exact thing in the previous list of updates, so I guess maybe it wasn't working. Unless they just added it as a, oh, it was in, so boom, it's in, and it's not actually changed in this update to the beta. It's just always that way. The English dynamic historical event, the end of the 100 Years' War, which fires when England is ousted from the French region, but the situation is still ongoing, now properly ends the situation with France as the winner. Elephant Cav now has a unit size of 200, same as Age of Tradition's Cav, to restore the previous ratio between the two. Fixed all instances of dynamic localization for the gold good in the advances descriptions, so they were using an incorrect one. We've got some 2D art stuff for estate unrest modifiers. Fixed an issue where the AI would not launch independence movement wars even when they had sufficient support. I actually suffered an independence war in this game here. Funnily enough, that is why I own this location of Alessandria. I had vassalized them, and then they launched a independence movement against me that called in the likes of Denmark and Sweden. It didn't go well for them. Obviously, they didn't even have a fort. But yeah, that's how I own this land now. They are. I think that's probably the first time I've ever had an independence war fired against me that wasn't like a colonial war during that situation. So hey, it looks like whatever they did is working there. Although maybe they could search for support from someone slightly more relevant. Display level, raise levels of manpower on the raised levies map. Fix the description of the modifier owner gets vision when occupied, so it now correctly reads, even when occupied, the owner always has vision in this location. I like that. That's a much better change. Added missing input binding settings for speeds. For modding, I am not a modder. I like mods. I think mods are magic, and I'm very happy that modders have so much things. But all of this reads like gibberish to me. Modding is foreign language. I have no idea. River map mode arrows won't show up on the normal flat map anymore. Fixed a bug that doubled the amount of gold earned from selling locations. And fixed a crash related to the production method tooltip when loading a save from an older version. Very nice indeed. That is awesome. That update is out right now. It is live, and you can play it. And I have been playing it, which is awesome. Before I go as well, like I just said, modding is magic, so this is probably why I didn't go over it. But there was an extra thread that went live all about mods, and I don't know where it is. So we will find it. I found it. There was a post basically showing all of the things that modders are able to do. If you are a modder, I assume you probably did not miss this. But the one thing that I was made aware of that would relate to me is that you could now script things on the map to have like groupings of locations added to a group, and then you could do effects onto that group. So think of like, this is in the White Walls of Castanor group, and then you can just reference that in your mod, and then it'll affect all of those locations. Look, modding is magic, and you know, we love mods, but I don't understand them. Anyway, we're gonna leave you with a picture of my lovely Milan in this world that we're playing in, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little update. I'm going to go back to playing some more of this. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it too, and I will see you guys in the next one. Toodaloo.